Remember when you said this year would be different? Has it been? You're not stuck because you lack motivation. You're stuck because you're hauling dead weight you don't even see. And here's the tragedy. By the time most people notice it, they've already lost years. In this video, we're eliminating 19 things quietly holding you back. Once they're gone, everything gets easier. Number 1, the snooze button. Every time you hit snooze, you're starting your day with a broken promise to yourself. You're literally training yourself that your commitments are negotiable. And here's the thing. Those extra 9 minutes of fragmented sleep, they actually make you groggier. So here's what you need to do instead. Replace snoozing with immediate activation. Put your alarm across the room. When it goes off, your feet hit the floor. Do a quick stretch. Make your bed. Get some natural light. Then splash some cold water on your face. Remember, the first decisions of your day set the tone for all the others. Number 2, notifications that hijack your attention. Does this happen to you often? You were deep in focused work. Suddenly, your phone buzzes. Now you're on your phone checking out something random when you should be focusing. Here's what research shows. It takes 23 minutes to get back to deep focus after an interruption. And most people, they get interrupted every 6 minutes, which means you're never actually working. You're just constantly recovering from the last distraction. So put your phone on Do Not Disturb. Turn off every notification except calls from your top 5 people. Check everything else on your schedule, not theirs. Your attention is your most valuable asset. Stop giving it away for free. Number 3, consuming content without implementation. Let me ask you something. How many hours of educational content do you consume in a day? Maybe you've got your podcasts on the commute, YouTube videos during meals, maybe an audiobook before bed. Add it all up. Now here's the real question. How many hours do you spend actually implementing what you learned from all that? If that ratio is less than 6-to-1, that means you're not learning. You're just getting entertained. I call it entertainment with a guilty conscience. You feel productive because you're consuming educational content, but your life? It most likely hasn't changed at all. Here's what you do instead. Replace passive consumption with the input-output rule, where for every hour of content you consume, you spend at least 10 minutes implementing the learning. And if you can't commit to that, stop consuming until you can. You don't have a knowledge problem, you have an action problem. Number 4, identifying with your past failures. Did you know that most people don't actually learn from their failures? Instead, they see it as proof of their inadequacy. They tried to get in shape a few years ago and quit after 2 weeks. So now they tell themselves, I'm just not a fitness person. They bombed a presentation at work once. Now they avoid speaking up in meetings because I'm not good at public speaking. Sounds familiar? This is called a fixed mindset, and it's epidemic. Because once you label yourself as something you're not, you stop trying, you filter new evidence through that label. Remember, your past is not your identity. It's just data. Those failures don't define you, they inform you. Number 5, the need to be right. Being right feels incredible, doesn't it? Winning an argument, proving someone wrong, that little dopamine hit when you drop the perfect counterpoint. But here's what nobody tells you. That feeling costs more than you think. Let me be clear. I'm not talking about standing up for yourself, defending your boundaries, fighting for what matters, advocating for what's right. Those fights are worth having. I'm talking about the pointless ones. The 30-minute argument with a stranger online about something that won't matter tomorrow. Correcting someone's minor mistake in a group setting just because you can. You know the ones. Here's what happens in those moments. You win the argument, but you close the door to learning something new. You sacrifice your growth. Every time you choose being right over being curious, you're trading your evolution for your ego. And the worst part? The person who needs to be right all the time just have more battles. Replace being right with being curious. Would you rather be right or would you rather be growing? Number 6, apologizing for taking up space. Do you constantly find yourself softening your words with sorry? Sorry, but can I ask a question? Sorry, I have a different opinion on this. Sorry, I just wanted to bring something up. By constantly saying these, you're essentially asking permission to exist in the conversation. Here's what psychologists have discovered. The more you apologize unnecessarily, the more you train people to see you as someone who's always in the wrong. You're literally programming your own subordination. So replace reflexive apologies with intentional gratitude. Sorry for the late response becomes, thank you for your patience. Sorry to bother you becomes, I appreciate your time. Language shapes how people see you, and more importantly, how you see yourself. Remember, every unnecessary apology is a vote of no confidence in yourself. Number 7, overthinking decisions that don't matter. Look, I know overthinking is real. It's exhausting. Your brain won't shut off, and you're stuck analyzing every possible outcome of even the smallest decisions. But here's what's happening. Every time you spend 15 minutes deciding what to have for lunch, you're depleting the mental resources you need for decisions that actually shape your life. Should you start that passion project? Should you take that job offer? By the time you get to these questions, your brain is already exhausted from choosing between chicken and fish. So here's what helps. Replace deliberation with decision rules. If a decision can be reversed in less than 10 minutes, make it in less than 10 seconds. What to eat? First thing that sounds good. What to wear? Pick a uniform and stick with it. This isn't about dismissing your thoughts. It's about protecting your decision-making power for the decisions that actually compound over time. Number 8. Performing your life for an audience that doesn't exist. Let's face it, we have all been guilty of this at some point or another. Spending 10 minutes getting the perfect angle for a photo, then another 15 crafting a caption that sounds effortlessly profound. Essentially, staging moments to look spontaneous. But here's what research shows. The average person scrolls past your post in 1.2 seconds. They don't care about your aesthetic. They're too busy curating their own perfect feed. You're spending hours creating content for people who give it seconds of attention. So replace performance with presence. Share when you actually have something to say, not because the algorithm demands it, because the most interesting people aren't performing. They're too busy doing interesting things. Number 9. Conversations that drain without contributing. Have you ever noticed how some conversations leave you feeling exhausted, but nothing actually got resolved? They start with, "Hey, got a minute?" And somehow, half an hour later, you're still there. No decisions were made, no problems got solved. You just listened to the same complaints you heard earlier. Here's the thing. Some people don't want solutions. They want audience members for their personal drama series. So, replace open-ended venting with outcome-focused conversations. Ask one simple question. What is this about? Watch how fast they either get focused or reveal they just wanted to waste your time. If you like the video so far, consider subscribing. Also, I have linked all the research material in the show notes below. Now on we go to the next one. Number 10. Relationships built on shared complaints. Here's something that'll hit you. Some of your closest relationships are held together by nothing but mutual negativity. Think about it. You may be bonding over hating your jobs, mocking other people's choices, complaining about the same things every single time you meet up. It's all fine and dandy till the moment you try to grow. These relationships become anchors pulling you back down. Replace complaint sessions with accountability partnerships. Find one person who wants to build something. Talk about progress, not problems. Remember, either your current relationships will rise with you, or they'll fade naturally. Both outcomes are fine. Number 11. Seeking validation from people who don't matter. Studies show that every time you check social media for validation, your brain releases the same neurochemicals as gambling. You're literally training yourself to become addicted to the approval of strangers. Now you know why it feels so good to check your Instagram 50 or more times a day, and even refreshing to see if your post got more engagement. Here's the brutal truth. Every minute you spend seeking approval is a minute you're not spending building something that actually matters. So replace external validation with internal scorecards. Every night, write down 3 things you did that day that you're proud of, regardless of anyone's opinion. Your approval is the only one that compounds, and frankly, it's the only one that matters. Number 12. Explaining yourself to people who've already made up their minds. You know that person who questions every decision you make? No matter what you say, they hit you with another, "But why?" They're not asking because they want to understand. They're asking because your growth makes them uncomfortable about their stagnation. So replace explaining with executing. Channel that energy into building. 1 hour of execution beats 10 hours of defending. Number 13. Holding on to things because you might need them someday. Ever open your closet and feel overwhelmed by stuff you haven't touched in years? Or scroll through digital folders so chaotic you can't find anything? If this sounds familiar, you're probably holding on to things thinking, just in case. Here's the truth about someday. It never comes. Physical clutter creates mental clutter. So replace hoarding with the 6-month rule. If you haven't used it in 6 months and it's not seasonal or sentimental, it goes. Sell it, donate it, trash it. The freedom you'll feel is worth more than the hypothetical future usefulness. Number 14. People who only call when they need something. When was the last time someone contacted you out of nowhere? And before you even opened the message? You already knew they wanted something? You haven't heard from them in 6 months, maybe longer. Then suddenly your phone lights up. Within 3 minutes, they're asking for a favor or some kind of help. These aren't relationships. They're transactions where you're always on the losing end. So replace one-sided relationships with reciprocal ones. If someone only reaches out when they want something, they're not in your life. You're just a tool in their toolkit. Just stop responding. No explanation needed. Just quietly close the door. Number 15. Giving advice to people who don't take it. Chances are you too have a friend who constantly asks for your advice. You give them thoughtful guidance. They nod enthusiastically. And then they do the exact opposite. 3 months later, they're asking you the same question again. They don't want advice. They want permission to do what they were already going to do. So replace free consulting with selective wisdom. After the second time someone asks for advice and doesn't take it, stop giving it. Save your wisdom for people who value it. Number 16. Being available to everyone all the time. Do you respond to texts immediately? Are you always on for anyone who needs you? Do you pride yourself on being the reliable one? Here's the problem with that. When you're available to everyone, you're available to no one, especially not yourself. Constant availability is constant interruption. You're never actually focused. You're never actually present. You're just perpetually on standby for other people's needs. So replace being always on with intentional availability windows. Set specific times when you respond to messages. Let people know when you're reachable and when you're not. The people who matter will respect your boundaries. The people who don't, they were never worth your time anyway. Number 17. Friendships that have naturally expired. Not every friendship is meant to last forever. And that's okay. Maybe you had a best friend in college who you were inseparable from. But now you're in different stages of life and have other priorities. Every time you talk, there's this awkward tension. You're both trying to recreate something that doesn't exist anymore. I'm not saying you need to let go of every old friend. Some friendships do evolve and survive the distance, but some don't. And forcing a connection that's naturally fading just makes both of you feel guilty and exhausted. So, replace forced connections with intentional ones. It's okay to let friendships fade. You can be grateful for what they were without forcing them to be something they're not. Some people are in your life for a season. Stop trying to make seasonal friendships into lifetime commitments. Number 18. Eating food that makes you feel terrible. You know that meal that tastes incredible for 5 minutes but makes you feel like absolute garbage for the next 3 hours? The one that leaves you sluggish, foggy, and regretting every bite? Every time you eat something that makes you feel terrible, you're choosing to operate at 60% capacity. Your body is not a trash can with feelings, so replace reactive eating with intentional fueling. You don't need a perfect diet. You don't need to eat clean 100% of the time. Just stop eating the things, make you feel like crap. You know what they are. Number 19. Scrolling before bed. You get into bed tired, ready to sleep, and then you pull out your phone and start scrolling. Sounds familiar? Here's what the science shows. Blue light from screens suppresses melatonin production by up to 50%. Your brain literally interprets that blue light as sunlight, thinking it's time to be awake, not asleep. But it's not just the light. More often than not, the content you're consuming is emotionally activating. You're flooding your brain with stress hormones right when it should be winding down. You're sabotaging your sleep, which sabotages your entire next day. So replace scrolling with a wind-down routine. No screens 30 minutes before bed. Literally anything is better than scrolling.